welcome to Turn the Page, the official podcast of the Syosset Public Library.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Turn the Page. I am one of your hosts today, Jen, and I am joined by an illustrious colleague. Would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Jody.
Yay, hi Jody. And Jody and I are joined by a very recent guest who was here just recently to talk about a fantastic book and is now back to talk about a fantastic show. So welcome back. How you been? And could you introduce yourself?
I've been great. Thank you. Good to see you again. I'm Nicole Conn. I'm a writer-director, mostly of films. And I've done some books, as you know, The Descending Thirds, after 25 years of waiting to get it out there. But one of the things I'm also most proud of is the show Coming Out for Love. If you go back to probably 2007-ish or so, when The Bachelorette was all the rage, my daughter and I watched that show because I'm a romantic, and so I was completely consumed, and so was she. So from that point forward, she had said something to me, why don't I see you and mommy on there? Why is there a man and a woman? Why aren't there a woman and a woman? And from that point forward, I really wanted to do this show, not just because I'm an uber romantic, but because what she said really, really struck me. It took me 15 years, and I was only able to do it because I found an incredible donor that basically paid for the entire show, because she had seen a film of mine, A Perfect Ending, and it healed her mind, body, and soul. So she was happy to give me the money, which was really, really lovely. So the show has a lot of good juju from that standpoint.
That's excellent. I have seen that film as well, actually. That just reminded me. That's great.
Yeah, but it's the first ever LGBTQ dating competition show, all at The Bachelor in the United States. There's one other that they did in Germany, kind of something along those lines, but everybody was white. There was no diversity, nothing. So one of the things I'm super proud of in this show is the diversity and the multi-talented group of women and guest judges. It's just like a cornucopia of wonderfulness of the lesbian community, as far as I'm concerned.
It was. Yeah, that is a very true statement.
Yeah, absolutely. The contestants all come from all walks of life.
Yep.
They have a wide range of experiences and talents and all these things. And some are, out. And some are not quite out, still in the closet in certain contexts. So I know you had this question too, Jody, if you don't mind. So what was the selection process like?
Well, it was very fascinating from the standpoint, when we first put out the calls to everybody, we didn't get a diverse group of people. It was primarily white gals who were wannabe actresses, which is a lot of what reality TV is, a lot of people who are in the arts, or they're actresses or screenwriters / And so I was really freaked out a little bit about the fact that there wasn't any diversity coming in. When we asked Jessica Clark to host the show, once she came on in also a producer capacity, and she brought a lot of the talent to the table through all of her connections and everything. So she put a lot of her print on the show. To me, from everything involved, she's the soul of the show. So
it was excellent. It was great to
Isn't she amazing?
And honestly, the whole vibe of the show, she was great at leading it and just putting things together, being there for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And she's the most fun I ever had on a film set was A Perfect Ending. Most fun ever I had on a set ever was Coming Out for Love. And the common denominator is Jessica Clark. She is fun. She's so incredibly wickedly witty. And I'm so proud of her, and I'm so grateful to her for her involvement.
Yeah, she has a really warm presence. And, that's one of the things I love about the show is that there's drama, there is some conflict, there are miscommunications, but it's not toxic like a lot of dating shows really are. There's not a lot of, there's none almost people acting in bad faith or being each other. Yeah,
I
like
was the
People
first
love
2
that.
days or so
So-
that we were shooting, I turned to one of the other producers and I was like, are we going to have a show here? Because they're all so in love with each other, you know? But I think you saw from the first couple of episodes, we had a show because of the circumstances, and it was an incredible opportunity to open a discussion about racism, not just for the brown culture, but also other cultures who, you know, we had that incredible convo that all the contestants were just so erudite and wonderful and soulful and like Sunny. I mean, when you listen to Sunny talk, it's like, you know, she's just on another realm, you know. So yeah, that uh, we aired the entire thing without cutting it. The whole when Amber confronted Lundy about the N word, I'll just say that because I really love people to see that episode. And then I love the um, full cycle piece at the end of episode 4 when we see what happens with Lundy, you know, and it's like every time I watch that episode, I cry because of that experience.
It was nice that you showed it all because, like, you know, other places would just sweep it under the rug or they have like a 2 minute, like, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
blah, 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 and it's over.
Mm.
I didn't expect the whole episode to keep going on about it. And I was like, this is amazing. And
Yeah.
with the last episode and then with the follow-up, I was so happy to see how Lundy is now.
Yeah,
And
I
there
know.
was something going on then, and
Yeah.
she's learned and she's growing, and you guys continue to check on your people. So that was
Yeah.
really nice to see.
Yeah. And she came, you know, she was really reluctant at first, but then after we spoke and I said, do you have any idea how inspiring you are to have come from that to go to here? And so thankfully she was willing to do it. And, you know, Jessica and I are both in recovery. So it was wonderful to have that whole experience. Yeah.
Are you still in touch with the most of the cast?
On and off. I mean, it's like every project, you're like so tight knit, you're all married and around each other too much. uh, and then, you know, you have your premieres and you do that and it's all this wonderful stuff. And then you go by the wayside, but they're always there and you always reach out. I spoke to Adora the other day about something. Yeah. So, and Sunny, I like to try to stay in touch with Sunny because she's so incredible. I just love her. Yeah. And oh, and Pauline. She is a totally great soul. And Michelle, our deaf contestant, is always in touch with me because she's always doing new projects. She, you know, writes, directs, does the whole thing, and she's very, very ambitious and driven and determined. So I stay in touch with her.
I have a question actually about Michelle
Yeah.
and a comment. I loved how you also gave her the platform to explain how she was feeling and how the girls really embraced it and tried. You could see them trying to sign.
Yeah, yeah,
That was
yeah,
beautiful. Like she was just so awesome. And I looked into her a little bit more too. I was like, this,
yeah,
this woman's great.
yeah.
The interpreter was awesome.
Oh my God.
I don't
I
know.
think everybody on the set was in love.
I mean, the hair alone, but
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Michelle was, you know, voted off or kicked out.
Mhm.
I noticed the interpreter stayed on the entire time.
Because we fell in love with them. And
Love.
I asked them to stay on because, you know, why not?
I wasn't sure. I was like, oh,
Their
is
energy was
that-
so refreshing and upbeat and always helpful and just, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It really was a wonderful set.
Yeah, that was great because I was every so often I'm like I love to learn more ASL and all that all the time, and I was
Mhm.
looking, I was like, oh, show them and more, yay, yay, okay, cool. Where's Michelle though? Oh, darn.
Yeah, it's really beautiful because, you know, obviously people are competing, but they are supporting each other. There's no undermining each other. They're all just lifting each other up. It's just really beautiful to see. And like you know, that requires just a lot of the conversations they have require a lot of vulnerability and courage,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
present for them
yeah.
and be there.
Well, that's why I was so proud of this show as sort of an archival snapshot of where we are in, you know, 2020 as a community, who we are, how we've grown, the all walks of life, and also just the level of talent, you know, and the degree of wonderfulness is just sort of like, I just couldn't be prouder of everybody that was involved. So, yeah.
How did you pick Amber? Like how was Amber going to be the one?
Well, are you familiar with Rachel Paulson? She's also a filmmaker, writer. She's Sarah Paulson's sister. And
Yeah.
I was an executive producer of one of her films, but also she was our casting director. So she first brought Amber to my attention, but we weren't able to connect with her because she's so incredibly busy and everything. Jessica was able to get through to her because she had connected with her from something before. So we brought her on, and it was like, to me, it was like we had, Gandhi meets, I don't know, just some incredible other person. And this was their love child. You couldn't get a better lead in terms of just a very soulful, careful, thoughtful, reflective,
Yeah. She was perfect at what
yeah.
she was
and
there
and
for.
gorgeous and gorgeous.
So, yes.
So yeah, that was another wonderful piece. So, and it's interesting because you see these dating shows, and I always wonder, can they really start having feelings? And you see them start having feelings almost immediately. I think the expectation or something sort of draws you in, but all those girls pretty much fell in love with Amber. And some of them had a little bit of, cross-pollination with each other,
Yeah.
like Lundy and Madison,
Oh
definitely.
I was like, oh, no.
Well, I mean, yeah, you have so many just beautiful, beautiful people, interesting, charismatic, like fascinating. Yeah, like it's how could you not, So
Oh, and then we had Jessica's like designer woman, Turquoise Toppin, who put all those fabulous outfits together. And I interview her, I think, in the 14th and the 16th episode. I think I have this little piece with them. She was amazing. Oh my God, she set a tone for just the elegance of it all, and that Jessica was just a queen. And it's sort of like, I think Chieko says, when she walks in the room, you would just stop and stare,
She
because
commanded
she's
my presence
impressive.
instantly.
yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
I have a question about the edit, the like finding the story in the show. So I imagine like this process generates so much footage, and you have to find a story for the overall arc and for each episode. So what is like going through all that material like?
The most insane experience I've ever gone through, truly. I edit my own films, and I pretty much edited every episode, and had a finish editor and effects editor and sound people, of course. But I had to learn how to edit faster than I am remotely comfortable with, because we had a 28 terabyte drive of the footage. We had 17 cameras. They roll 24/7. Now, a lot of it's dead footage, overnight stuff, and you see them scurrying around from bedroom to bedroom and that stuff. But you have to weed through it to find out where the stuff is. And then we ended up having one bad camera. And so we had to go through other cameras to see if we could find another shot of it from another angle and blow it up and manipulate it and this and that and the other thing. So it ended up being like this insane system. And it was so weird. I started getting up at like 2 a.m, and I would edit from 2 a.m. until like 2 p.m. And that was where my creative vibe was. And then I would go back and forth with my 2 other producing partners. I'd go out to their system where I'd edit with them while we were doing things so we could double check stuff. But I literally went into some sort of hyper drive and went and said, okay, this is just, you can't worry about every single frame like you do in your films. This is just like boom, 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 boom. But I really enjoyed the edit. I really enjoyed doing it. I was surprised. I thought it was going to be a have to, but I loved it because I fell in love with everybody, And the guest judge is like Stoney and
Love Stoney.
Yeah, Stoney and Nick Casey, one of my favorite people on the planet. Cannot rave enough about them and their impeccable work. Those halter, their necks. So it's like just amazing, beautiful stuff. And then my other personal favorite was Carolyn Giuliani, because not only did she get the whole sexy thing, but she just jumped in there and danced with them. I love that segment that I cut of them all dancing when they decided to have the lingerie walk off just impromptu. That they just came up with it. So it was like, yeah. So that was so much fun. I loved cutting all of those sequences. So
Yeah, there's a lot of like spontaneity in the show, you know.
well, what happened literally was when the N-word thing came out, and Amber came to us and said, I know this woman and I need to confront her. And we were like, okay, the stage is yours. We threw the script out and we went from there. We had guest judges we knew we had to do stuff with, but we moved around in a totally different way, which I think was probably the best thing, given the fact that we didn't know anything about what we were doing. You know, a film set is one thing, which is long and boring for almost everybody but the director and the DP. And this thing was like, it's run and gun, you know, just running, gunning, shooting. Oh, something's happening over here. Run, get the cameras now. Oh, it's over now. Now, run, get the cameras over here. So it was that sort of stuff. And trying to get the segments of activities done in a timely manner and all that sort of stuff, because we were cramming our days in. So
it was nice that it wasn't like formulaic like the other dating shows out there on mainstream stuff. Like, all right, the challenge, blah, blah, blah. Now a date, now somebody leaves. This one was like over here, and then they're gonna make this, and then there's banana bread, and like Jessica's changing the thing. Just someone off the top, and you're like, what are you doing?
I love when Jessica just decides to do that, because I said, you have carte blanche, man. Do what you want. So it was really a lot of fun.
Yeah, she's so you know, elegant and poised, but she has a little bit of that like low-key chaotic energy.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
you see it,
Totally.
Amber's like, I thought we were friends. What are you doing to me? Like, what oh God.
I know.
Oh, I'd love to talk about the graphics that you add, because I really love them and they add such a nice little flavor to the story. The hashtags, the your comments, the boomer bits, which I think are just so fun and really like provided like some really like lovely and funny like intergenerational observations. So yeah, can you talk about that too?
Well, you know, this was the thing. We thought we would sell this to like Bravo or something, but we haven't been able to actually sell it. And I think part of it is just because it's not formulaic. And one of the things I said is, I want to do this the way it feels right, whatever it feels right, how it's sort of like when you do a documentary, you have to follow what feels right and is true. And so that's what I felt like we followed doing the show on the set and then editing it. One of the things I had really wanted to do, because I wanted it to go wide, was I wanted to make it interactive. And so those bits, which there would have been a lot more as we went on, we just ran out of time, and the special effects and the graphics stuff took a lot more time than it does even today, 3 years later. I can do all my own graphics now, but I had to use somebody else to do them. Yeah, I do want to say I have something new coming out called Blue Love Dance, A Scent of Romance. And it's the making of my single favorite sequence in my entire career. And it's the Blue Love Dance in the love scene in More Beautiful for Having Been Broken. You haven't seen that yet, but when you do, sweetie, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's sort of like, I don't know if you ever saw Moments, the making of Claire of the Moon. Have you ever seen that?
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. Okay, this is like Moments on steroids for the making of, yeah.
Oh boy.
Wow. There was one thing that Jessica said that really stuck with me. She was talking at some point about coming out as activism, which I thought was such a really beautiful way of putting it. And is that something like, do you see the show itself as activism too, or contributing to like?
Yes, I mean, every project I've done, I want to present the community the way I feel it, which is not in anybody's face. It's not tropey. It's not, you know, these caricatures. It's just who we are, delivered pretty truthfully. And also like with an adult sensibility where like you don't have to dumb things down. You can have an intelligent conversation about these things. Yeah, reality TV doesn't usually have that, but why not? I mean, we started out way back in PBS with, was it the Louds, the family that was the first reality TV show PBS had on in the 80s or 70s or whatever it was. And that was just about truth, showing truth instead of all the sensationalism that's happened. But yeah, I feel like Coming Out for Love is very much an act of, you know, activism representation. You know, it's like we need this for our world to see who we are. And you see our community in a way that isn't represented anywhere else. You know, it's not sensationalized, but it's filled with incredibly cool women, you know? So, yeah.
Such a beautiful, just like group of people really, and it's I had never watched a dating show before this, so I came from sort of the opposite place of you, and I was sort of went into it with my a little I'm like, I have such a low tolerance for like toxicity and people being cruel to each other, and it's like not that at all. It's just really
Oh, I know. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we had a couple of really straight industry people who said the reason they loved it was because it was so not like the others. In fact, there was a guy named Reality Steve who said that one of the things he loved the best was that the first episode was devoted to the contestants so that you got to get to know who these women were actually. And he said, I've never seen that before. I love that.
I just loved it. It was just like interesting, different. My favorite, I think, part was when they were all describing their experiences when like going to the lesbian bars back in the day. You went
Jenny McNulty, that one, yeah.
Jen was great.
That was fun.
It's like you go there to feel safe. Like I didn't have too much experience with that, but I did go to bars back then. I'm like, all right, at least I know here I'm on a level playing field.
Yeah.
And like no one's gonna be too weird.
Exactly. Well, that's where we all came out.
And
that's what we had was bars.
They don't have that anymore. Like there's like hardly any gay, like lesbian bars.
No, not even in LA. At least there was like a moving bar for years and years and years. And it's just like,
so you
just go to the boys' bars.
Your show to me was also kind of like a history lesson for the new, the new days. That like all these things happen and like you have this privilege of just being out, even though like there's a lot of more obstacles as well now too because of how people are and we're all mixed together. But it's like this is where we all came from. Like this is what happened before you were born.
Exactly.
This has been absolutely lovely. Thank you so much. Could you tell our listeners where they can watch this and perhaps like how you think we can help spread the word and support the show?
Just tell all of your friends, have like a show, like watch it every Thursday night together, watch a couple of episodes, that sort of thing. Have house parties, play, enjoy, and just tell everybody to go see it. Everybody can see it through comingoutforlove.com or in the membership structure that I have on Nicole Conn Films Global. The show is available in both memberships and the Coming Out After Dark, which was the sister show that we shot, the companion sister show we shot, which is the racier after, Q&A with Shaba. Oh my God, talk about laughing till you just can't laugh anymore with that woman. I'm telling you. So so through NicoleConnFilmsGlobal.com or comingoutforlove.com.
Oh, great. Thank you so much for sharing the show with us and coming to talk about it. Just like,
it's been wonderful talking to you both. And Jody, thank you so much for your really lovely words about my films.
Thank you for your lovely work.
Yeah. Oh, and thank you, listeners, for joining us. I absolutely recommend this show with my whole heart. It is so beautiful, and I think you'll really enjoy it.
Thank you.
It's time to close this chapter. We'll see you next time.
It's time to close this chapter of Turn the Page. Join us for the next episode.